Pretty Little Liars, episode 6 and 7. So this is weird because two things. Number one, we really tried to get to these yesterday.
We did.
And we did watch them.
We watched them.
We not only watched them, but we even went to the lengths of watching one of the episodes at a restaurant while we were sitting down to eat because we were like, we got to get this done. And so we sat there and we were going to eat. And I was just like, oh, I'll just put the phone up. And we fucking put the phone on the table and we're watching it. And everyone, anybody else that was in there was like, you're watching Pretty Little Liars with us, I guess. And we sat there and we watched the whole rest of the episode because we were like, we're going to get this done. But we drove an hour to go see 2 movies, which we're going to review after this. And it just, we couldn't. We got home and we watched everything and it was like 1 a.m. and we had work in the morning and I had a crazy day and it was just like, there's no way. And number 2 is this is super weird because we are covering a TV series that has 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
And this is the last time we're going to get to guess anything before we talk about it. We're going to talk about 8, 9, and 10 next week, which is just
the finale.
It's impossible to guess. It's going to be impossible to guess at this point who the killer is. Like, I want episode 9. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to watch 8 and 9. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to record like a really quick reaction.
Like this
and give a like last minute thing right before we watch it. And then we'll put it before the video and be like, see how wrong or right we were. So that's going to be that. All right. So episode 6, Scars. So this one actually picks up where the last one left off, which is not typical with this show. So that was cool to see. So Tabby and Imogen are going to open up to each other about their rape stories. And Tabitha does, and Imogen kind of refuses to. And we found that suspect.
We were very suspicious of that because we thought that it was being played in a way of like...
It's going to be a reveal later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were wrong.
We were wrong because...
There's nothing suspect about it.
Because in the next episode, they do address it. And it's like one of those things where if we were doing this episode by episode, we could have got to say that. And we still did. But now we're just pointing out that we were wrong.
Yeah.
And we get to kind of acknowledge it in real time and be like, nope, we already watched the next episode. So this show's really weird to talk about on the channel because you do. And we're going to get the last 3 episodes next. It's so weird. But whatever. We committed to this and we're gonna fucking see it through like we did with Day of the Dead. We stuck that one out.
Yeah.
And we didn't stick out freaking
From
which we loved. So that was stupid of us. Alright. So Angela is an idiot.
Yeah, we don't understand. So all the flashbacks that we get with Angela and the girl's parents, they are always setting her up for failure or for embarrassment. Always. And it's like, when does she give up?
When do you
call it quits? When are you like, no way? Like, is it in this episode that...
She gets the tattoo. And they're like, peace.
It's crazy.
How many times can you possibly kick someone in this way just for her to remain popular? Because that's what we find out. She becomes the hot girl, the popular girl in school because of them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think it's the level of what they're doing.
Right.
It shouldn't be so intense. It should be a lot more mild, but dicky. Yeah. Right? Just shitty things that you could play off as like, oh, sorry, girl, I was just playing. Making someone get a fucking tattoo and then walking out on it and being like, haha, just kidding, none of us are getting it. Now your parents are going to fucking be so pissed off at you and it's for nothing. It was a practical joke that is literally on your body forever. And she got it on her fucking neck. Right?
On her neck,
or no, her arm. I'm sorry. She was saying on my neck.
Yeah.
I think she said somebody's going to get it on their neck. I remember something about a neck. Could be completely wrong on that.
But
she does get it on her arm.
She gets the tattoo of the A.
The A, yeah. Of course.
Which is also like...
Because of the killer's name and because her aunt, yeah.
Yeah.
I swear somebody said something about a neck. I'm totally fucking off on that. Don't care.
You might not be, but...
She got a tattoo. Yes. It's crazy. It's just so like extreme. Every episode you're like, Angela, come on. Just, what are you doing? And then we find out she was raped the night of, which I had already talked about in the first episode. I was like, something happened.
Yeah.
Right then, she's running in like freaking out, and she looked like she was beaten. And I'm like, what happened there? Well, we found out she was raped. We don't know how she was raped yet, but let me guess. Her friends set her up and got her raped.
100%.
Right?
They had something to do with it.
Of course they did. Oh my God.
It's just disgusting. It's so disgusting.
They're so awful. Like
the parents in the show are like very irredeemable characters.
100%.
Like the daughters have their problems and flaws, but they're likable and you relate to them. But the parents, like what we see of them as teenagers as well as adults, it's just like, why are they so horrible? They just suck so bad. Farron's mom, this episode, we get a lot of stuff with Faran. Yeah. And more about her scoliosis and the surgery that her mom makes her have. And it's just, is it this episode actually, or is it, it's hard that we find out that the doctor actually recommends against the surgery.
Yeah, this is that episode.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it went into the next one.
Because she's in the wheelchair in the next episode.
Okay.
Right? She gets in the car crash.
That's right.
And then...
That's right. So this episode we find out that her doctor doesn't want Faran to have the surgery because her scoliosis is so mild that it would correct itself with the use of a back brace. And the surgery would be like intense and painful and all this stuff, and her mom makes her do it. And as a result, against the doctor's medical opinion, and as a result, she has chronic back pain that she's just been living with for scars. 8 years.
Yeah.
And scars.
And horrible scars on her body. Yeah.
And it's just like, disgusting. Just disgusting.
And some people might be like, well, you don't know, and you've never been put in that position. Yes, I have. Yes, I fucking have. My daughter had a benign tumor on her face called a hemangioma, and it's like this fucking big. If you've seen any pictures of her, it was enormous. It was fucking huge, and it was red as red gets, and it was like this big on her little head. And they were like, it could get big enough. If it doesn't stop, it could like get into her eye, right, and be a problem. And at that point, we would have been like, okay, we need to have the surgery. But we talked to the doctor, and the doctor was like, look, some parents elect to have the surgery because they don't want their daughters to look that way or their kids to look that way. Vanity, right? But like when you put a child under, you would risk them not waking up. Like you could die. She was little. She was 1. And it started growing on her face, and they were like, if you want to get rid of this, and we were kind of asked, and they were like, well, it'll grow away eventually. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be on her face for years. She probably won't get rid of it until she's like 7, 8, 9. She might have it for 10 years. And we were just like, our daughter's life
versus
or vanity, like her looks, for her infancy, right? Sure. Her young years like that. Even if it wasn't, it's still, risking my daughter's life so that she can fit in.
Right.
And have perfect complexion. Yeah. And she grew out of it. You can still see the mark to this day. If you move it around or if you look at it from a certain angle, you can still kind of see it. And I still think it's probably going to grow out completely. But I was given that option of like, your daughter's going to look different for many years. It's going to be a glaring thing on her head. And we just called it her strawberry. And she actually cried when it was going away because she was like, that's what makes me different. She's an identical twin.
So
she was just like, I don't want it to go away. I'm going to miss it.
It's so sweet. And it's so much better to, not try and enforce like this weird standard of beauty in your kids than, rather than letting them just be who they are and how they look and how they were made.
Yeah.
And with Faran and her mom is 100% doing it for vanity, not for any kind of like health concerns for her daughter.
And she's doing it for herself.
And she's doing it for herself. Not even for her daughter,
no.
like my daughter might be made fun of or whatever. It's like, no, I need to have a perfect daughter.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people will judge me.
Yeah.
And she's just, it's awful. But Faran, you know, like she finds out that her mom did this to her and she kind of gets like a backbone, so to speak, and decides to reclaim, like, you know, her scar, and she ends up getting the part in Black Swan because Kelly drops out, so she gets the role.
Because she's attacked by I guess.
We can talk about that because we have the theory of, like, how and why that happened.
I don't know if I stick by that anymore because, like, I don't even know if that was A.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's my question, because Kelly gets a text that says Kelly or Karen, and that's all it says. And then she's attacked by a person in a completely different outfit, in a completely different mask, and she admits that she's Kelly, and then she, you know, he leaves, and she drops out of the play, out of the dance play.
Out of the dance, the ballet.
The ballet.
And, yeah.
But that's an interesting scene because that's the first and only time we've seen the killer in a different outfit, a different mask, right? So.
Well, no, that's not true. We saw him on Halloween in the pumpkin mask.
Sure, that was Angela's mask, and we got context to that mask,
right?
Right, like we knew, and we watched him literally open up a chest, put it on, like we knew it was him 100%. So I guess you're right. There is a mask change, so that would have some precedence. Regardless. This is just a completely different looking outfit with no precedence that we've seen before, right? Like, there's nothing there. No context to that at all. I'm thinking that's the dance kid.
I thought that too.
Because she even says, Kelly, like, what does Kelly say? She's like, you suck, like, you...
Something about her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend,
and
right?
She was like, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
so that's the dance
kid. If you come near me again, I'll have my boyfriend. But she's not dating, is she?
Greg?
Yeah. She's not into him because they have like a whole moment where
he like basically
himself on her, and she's like, "I'm not my sister."
No, she's like, this is such a crazy scene.
She's like, if you want me.
So he like basically is almost trying to fucking rape her. She has to say no like 4 times. Guys, 1 time. A girl says no, you stop instantaneously, okay? That is a fucking, without, you know. It's crazy to me that a guy would ever need no more than once. Because there's a difference between playful, like, no, and like, stop, no, like, right? Like, there's a massive difference. There's playful no's, right, that you and your girlfriend have. You know the difference. When someone's yelling no, when they're pushing you and scratching and kicking, that's a good indication that they probably don't want something.
So they have that whole thing, though. Then she's like, if you actually want me, you're going to show up to the dance
in the front row with roses.
Flowers.
Yeah, flowers or whatever.
And she storms away.
I mean, talk about a wonderful beginning to a relationship. So your dad tried to rape me once. But I gave him a second chance because he showed up. It's so ridiculous. So
she ends up dropping out because she gets attacked, and Faran, when she gets the role, like, she puts on, I guess they have their headshots and everything for the ballet, and instead of like a full, like a front-facing headshot, she shows her back, and she like has this text under it that's like, my mom, against my will and against the wishes of my doctor, like, forced me to have this surgery.
It's a total middle finger.
And so now I'm dancing for, like, and it was like a total middle finger to her mom, who then leaves the dance recital. Like, after she sees it, she storms away and gets into a car accident at the end of the episode.
Good.
Which,
too bad she didn't die.
I think that there's more about that accident, though, because I feel like we would have seen a little something of it. Like, I kind of feel like she's faking it or something, because we don't see the accident happen, and she gets, like, in the beginning of the next episode, like, she blames Faran for the accident. She's like, I got into this because I was, like, I couldn't think straight because of you.
Yeah.
And it feels very like she's trying to play the victim.
I mean, she could have wrecked her car on purpose.
Sure, that's possible.
But I think the accident happened for sure. Because I don't think she could go into the doctor's office and be put in a cast in a wheelchair unless she actually had something wrong. So whether she injured herself or not, I don't know. We don't see the car. We just know it's having its brakes checked. Which is a really weird thing to have your car done with after an accident. Like, after an accident, you need, like, much more done. You need body work. You need maybe a new car if the chassis bent. I mean, how totaled was the car? She's just getting the brakes checked?
Yeah.
How did she even wreck if all that's wrong with it is brakes? I don't understand that. Maybe it was a different car. Maybe she took a different car and this is her other car. Fuck if I know.
I think it's the same car.
So we find out that Rose the mom snapped with a butcher knife, and that these 5 girls were coming in to visit her, and they ended up being the 5 little bitches. But there's a 6th person who was also visiting her. Who the 6th person is, I have no fucking clue. I'm assuming
Kelly and Karen's mom. Maybe. That's kind of what I thought, at least. Because with Kelly being attacked, it makes me think, and obviously with Karen dying and everything, it makes me think that her mother had something to do with Angela as well. But we haven't seen in any of the flashbacks Karen and Kelly's mom with the others yet. So,
I wouldn't think that the 6th person who's coming to visit would be someone that she wants revenge on. I'm thinking a cohort, right? I'm thinking like somebody who's there to assist her. This is that 6th unnamed person who's going to end up being the killer. But they all signed in as Angela. You would think the person at the front desk could do their job better and be like, you're not Angela.
There's been like 6 other Angelas. Somehow you're the 7th.
Yeah, there was only 6.
I know, there's an extra.
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm here to meet my mom.
My mom.
And she doesn't, like, the people who work there don't even realize, like, Angela's the one that died. That's why she's there.
I don't, yeah.
Sick fucking hospital. Alright, so we find out that Noah's mom was indeed fired for the call, so we questioned what actually happened. We get confirmation there, and her mom is a real piece of work. And, okay, so Imogen is a total asshole. She holds this fundraiser to save her house, and then decides, I'm just going to blow all that money on a spa.
Well, they go to a...
She's like, I'll just pay for all 6 of us. Look at this. I just got fucking money for days.
I know. They went... So, yeah, it was weird when she said that, because they get this... she gets that call right after the Halloween party from somebody who knew Angela. And so her and Tabitha and all the others sit down and talk about going to visit this person. And everyone except for Tabitha and Imogen decide to go. But she does make this comment of, like, I just had this kick-ass, like, fundraiser. Like, I've got this money.
She just, like, throws fucking...
Well, and then they go to the hotel that used to be the insane asylum or the sanitarium. And they get, like, they get this really nice room, like, some kind of suite.
Yeah.
And they're, like, freaking out because there's, like, chocolate-covered strawberries and bathrobes. She just... I couldn't understand because the whole point of that fundraiser was the house payments.
Well, this is just, like, anybody who, like, robs from charity.
Sure, and also they're teenagers, so it's like they're not as responsible as they should be. And
probably just think they're going to be dead in a week, so why not?
There's that, too. There's definitely that.
So I'll play devil's advocate and defend her. Do teenagers of modern age actually rock out to Alanis Morissette while they're driving?
I don't know.
It's like rain. Maybe. I know the 90s kind of came back, so totally possible, I suppose. Also, pro tip for all you out there who have never done so, you can't rent a hotel with cash. That's just not a thing anymore. You used to be able to back in the good old hooker days.
The hooking days.
The hooking days of the 80s.
But now you gotta have a credit or debit card.
100%. And you gotta put a deposit, and you gotta leave freaking information up. And you can't just be like...
a sample of your blood so that they can find you.
You can't just throw like, thousands of dollars on the table, and the guy's just like, we'll just keep this off the books. It's not how that works. Mouse's dad... is a stalker.
Yes.
And actually introduces himself to Mouse's little ashy boyfriend as dad. That's
super uncomfortable.
I don't know what this guy's desire is here. He just wants Mouse to pretend to be his daughter permanently.
I think because we find out, so Mouse's freaking mom, just one of them really, the other one seems like fine and rational, but her mom, the one that was like a member of the group, I don't know what her name is, she is like super controlling,
bitch face.
super bitch face, is super controlling of her daughter. And apparently so there's a carnival coming into town for this episode and the next episode, and Mouse wants to go, but when she was younger, she was almost kidnapped from the carnival. Almost. So now every year when the carnival comes around, they go out of town to some, whatever, cabin in the woods to get away. And Mouse is obviously pushing back on all this, like, controlling stuff from her family. But I think that the dad guy is potentially the person that tried to kidnap her. Because he's probably, like, it would line up, because it was when she was, like, 8 or 9, right? Like, when she was, like, quote-unquote, almost kidnapped. So, it wasn't that long ago.
You think fake daddy's real daddy?
No, potentially, yeah.
No.
You don't think so at all?
No. No, because she contacted him.
I don't know.
Do you know what the odds are of that?
I don't know. Well, he might have.
No, because this is we know that she does this. She ripped up pictures of other dudes that she's done this with. She's looking for a daddy, so she found him through the missing persons ads. She found Rachel's missing persons ad, and found out she was murdered. Contacted this guy and was like, "Do you want to play daddy for a night?
For some reason I thought that he could have found her. But basically, to explain, we find out that her mom, and we were both kind of shocked at how little of an impact and time really the show seems to spend on this moment, which is huge. Which is that Mouse's birth mom was actually, like, she found an ad in the paper or whatever to be a surrogate mother for somebody. For people that wanted kids, could not have kids, and she agreed to carry the baby, but not to keep the child. And then she gives birth and decides, never mind, I want the kid, and just leaves.
Just takes off with the kid.
Just takes the kid. And
then has the gall to be like, he tried to steal you from... You stole her from them. What the fuck kind of backwards ass logic is this? That she takes the kid, that she agreed with these people... I'm going to have this baby for you, then fucking vanishes with the kid. And when they try to take the kid back, she's like, oh my God, they tried to steal my child. They're monsters. And she still uses that logic in their argument when they're talking about it.
It's pretty, and they explain it that
and
they
Mouse is kind of just like, okay.
Like, well, no, she's pissed off about it. She's like,
but not
why?
On that level. We're talking about kidnapping. This is huge.
Yeah, but I think what makes it different too is that she is her mom. Right? Like, she is her mother.
Yes and no.
She just prevented her from having any kind of relationship with her father, which is, that's the part that she's obviously really upset about. Like, whoever her father was with at the time, she doesn't know that person as a mother because they didn't give birth to her and she wasn't around them for presumably any amount of time. But it's still, like, it's just awful.
It's awful. It's awful and, that she has no... Like, I could understand if she was like, listen, like, I know I said I wasn't going to be a part of this. I was just going to do this for you, but I really want to be a part of it. Then I could, I can understand that. I'm sure that happens a lot. You can't just take off with the kid because that is his biological child. Yeah. I know in some surrogate situations, they actually put the egg of the other mom who can't fucking birth the other kid in the woman. So that is not her child.
Right.
She just is the oven that they're baking her
the
in.
little oven.
Right? Which is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it isn't. It is.
It's huge.
But this is a very peculiar situation that has a lot to it. And to just be like, no, I'm just going to take the kid and disappear with her.
Well, and they don't sign anything formally, is what she says too. So that's kind of how she gets away with it, because there's no, it's documents. Yeah, it's not.
Which means it wasn't her egg. It was actually her egg. Right.
It was from her body. Yeah. So it's pretty intense. Mouse is definitely really pissed off at her, and she actually does this really interesting thing where she messages her mom from a burner phone saying...
To coax it out of her.
Basically threatening, if you don't tell Mouse the truth, then you're going to lose her forever. Your worst fears will be confirmed.
Which us as the audience thinks it's A.
Yes, you do think it's A. And then to find out that it's Mouse is interesting.
It's a mouse.
Because it's a mouse. I don't know. I don't know if she would have any kind of grander connection to A and the murders, but she is this little tech wizard, so it's, I don't know, there's something to that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much closer I am to guessing who the killers are in this, or I shouldn't say the killer. A to me is Angela's father. Right? Or brother or whatever. Yeah. So A to me is... Now, whether or not we've met that character who's posing as somebody else, like the sheriff or something.
We had to have met them. I do think that we've met them. It's hard to narrow it down.
I don't think so.
You don't?
I don't.
By the next episode, I feel like we should. We just don't... There's a lot of characters that we don't know their backstories to.
Who fits the bill today?
But that's what I mean. They could fit the bill, but we don't know what that connection would be. Because like you said, the sheriff, right? Karen's dad. I think Wes is suspicious.
They're not big enough to be A. A's a fucking monster.
He's a Northman.
He's like fucking Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's movies. This is a
Karen's dad
dude.
isn't. But Wes is pretty tall.
He's not that big.
He's not that big.
He's not that big. But, I'm telling you, A is not a person we've met. Okay. But who he's in cahoots with, we've met. Okay. Right? So A is just going to be a random killer. It's going to be a connection to Angela. Some family member, some lineage, whatever. It ain't Rose, right? Rose ain't that big unless she's been fucking eating steroids for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and being put on one of those medieval torture racks with a stretcher, and she gained a ton of height. That didn't happen. So A is not someone we know. I would be shocked if it was, and I'm fine to be wrong. But I just don't see who could possibly be physically in this show.
Yeah,
There's nobody that embodies that physicality and that physique. It's just, there's no one here.
You're right.
So to me, A is not someone we know. But who A's working with, we absolutely know. There has to be a reveal that one of the main people that we know by episode 7 of 10, they have to be in leagues with him. It just has to happen. So who that person is, I'm not 100% positive on yet. But more than likely, it's one of the 5.
Sure.
Right? I mean, that makes the most sense. They're going to do the I Know What You Did Last Summer thing, right? That makes the most sense. It's going to be the big reveal, oh my God, it was Imogen all along, right? That kind of thing.
Sure.
Right? Because Imogen's pregnant.
Right.
Right? And we still don't know anything about the dad. Right? So the baby has meaning.
Of course.
And so my prime suspect is Imogen. It's that if I had to guess currently, because this is kind of my last guess, it's Imogen, because Imogen has this big dark secret with a baby. And that just, to me, is lineage. It's family. Right? She has family inside of her. This is when I found out I was related to Angela. I couldn't let, my baby come into our world where someone hurt my grandmother like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something connected to that baby. She's going to find out maybe A is who got her pregnant. We don't fucking know, right? So don't. I just, my bets are on her because the baby is still undisclosed. And to me, that's super, super suspicious. Mm-hmm. So anyway, man, the fear, this is a really good moment in the show because I think this is very telling of reality in a very sad way. But like, and I cannot speak from personal experience, obviously, so I'm probably the wrong person to talk about this. But from my perception, from what I see, Tabby being held back from intimacy because of what happened to her, that's like, the rape doesn't end when the guy stops. No. Right? Like, you're not just raping them, you're raping them of their future, the future of their intimacy, right? Like, there's always going to be a stain on them, and they're going to carry it with them in, you know, for years and years to come, and it's going to follow them into other places in their life, like this situation where she meets this guy. She's like, "Ooh, I could be into this guy," and she like fantasizes about them going out and having a great time, and her being super into him, and then she thinks that he's gonna rape her, and she starts to have that thought, and then she pushes him away, and we see that it's a flashback to where she was in the moment, and she's like, "No."
Yeah, she's like, "Never mind."
That's a great sequence.
Yeah, it is. It's really great. I like that it shows, you know, like her hope and like interest in him, and then it just gets darkened because of her trauma. Yeah. And it's like you said, I mean, physical and mental abuse, like, it doesn't stop after it's finished happening. Like, it continues to affect people throughout the rest of their lives, and it's horrible. So, yeah, I really appreciated that sequence, and I think that it gives a lot of context to Tabby's character, because she's very, very, like, pro-women and feminist and outspoken about it, especially when it comes to horror films, which we don't necessarily always agree on, like, some of the things that she says. No. But I think that her intentions are... I think that she means well, and I think that it's because she's coming from that place of being sexually abused. Yeah. And so seeing those depictions in film and seeing people, you know, in her opinion and in her eyes kind of like glorify violence towards women, I totally understand why she's against it. But I mean, you know, obviously there's... anyway, we don't have to go into it, but I do like that it just gives us more depth to her character and the way that, you know, why she acts the way she does. She's still, I think, my favorite character in the show, and part of it is just because she's such a big film nerd, and I really love that. But I don't know. And we also realized this episode, or these 2 episodes, you realized it. We couldn't place her.
I've been waiting this whole time to make the joke.
We couldn't place her.
I kept trying to like butt in, but you were in on it, and I was just like, go for it. I was going to say you like her because she owns the night.
She owns the night. She's in the Zombies movies.
Nobody knows what the
Disney.
Zombies movies are here.
You know.
No, you don't. Unless you have kids who force you to watch zombies.
It's cool, though. It's really cool to see her go from this, like, super PG, like, kid-friendly, funny, fun show.
PG? I'm going to go G.
G.
Yeah.
It's super G. But, like, she's dancing, and it's, like, kind of cheesy, but it's cute. And then she's in this role, which is much more adult, dealing with a lot, like... you know, heavier issues. Yeah. That, you know, truthfully, the audience of that show, which it feels like it would be a lot of young girls watching zombies, are going to start going through those kinds of issues when they get older. So I like that. Got a good segue.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now that we discussed rape. Yep. We're going to move on to an even more serious discussion. I apologize, but it has to be said. Serious issue here. There's no fucking way that a film class in high school would feature a Return of the Living Dead 3 poster. There's just no way. It's so randomly placed. I'm like, Really? The guy who's like knocking trashy movies and this and that has a fucking Brian Yuzna film on his fucking wall. There's no way that teacher put up a Return of the Living Dead 3 poster. I ain't buying it. Don't fit the character.
It's so weird. It's definitely, that's one of those like Easter eggs for viewers to be like, oh.
It's just
like, that's it.
It's such a random film to put on the wall. I mean, I get it. The people who made this are horror fans, so they're like, I'm putting my favorite posters up, but it don't fit that guy's room.
It don't, but it's fine.
I just laughed when I saw it. I was like, is that a Return of the Living Dead 3 poster? I didn't ask that question. I knew the second I saw it, because it's a fucking very iconic poster to me. But I laughed when I saw that. Speaking of posters, this episode is called Carnival of Souls. We're moving on to episode 7, even though we've talked a lot about episode 7 already. But I'm just going to say that this is called Carnival of Souls. And in the movie theater, they always have a bunch of different posters from a bunch of different horror movies. This is sinful. They have in the theater a poster for the abysmal, garbage-ass remake of Carnival of Souls. Not the original Carnival of Souls poster. No. The Wes Craven Presents Carnival of Souls bullshit-ass poster. I saw it and I was like, ew. Get that off the fucking wall. Why is that up? No one owns that poster. Where'd they even get that? Where'd they even find that? They were like, we need a poster. And this guy's like, I just saw one in the trash. And it's like, that's where that belongs. And it's like, we got to film now. And it fits the title of the fucking episode. So it works.
So it works.
It doesn't work, though. It doesn't work. Take it down.
I haven't seen either the original Carnival of Souls or the Wes Craven Presents Carnival of Souls. So
you will see the original because it's awesome. And it's one of the... It's a master class in atmosphere. Like, it is one of the original atmospheric films in cinema to me. Like, it is a great film to study if you want to understand what makes films atmospheric. And it's a super low budget thing. It's a public domain film like Night of the Living Dead. And the music is great. It's super ominous. You'd love it. It's in black and white. It's a really, really cool film. But that remake, what the fuck? No. And then, I mean, we talked a little about Imogen's takes. And I get it. She was raped, right? She's going to have a different perception of things. And you were saying, it's not that she didn't like the movie or this and that. What did I say?
You said Imogen.
I did say Imogen.
That's okay. Yeah, Tabitha.
So they want to play a double feature, one of the films being Last House on the Left, and the other one being the Bergman film, a film that I've never seen.
Why did I say Birdhouse?
No. It's like... Fuck, I can't remember the title. I've never seen the film. Honestly, I'd never even heard of the film, to be completely honest. But regardless, she talks about horrible depictions of rape and this and that. And it's like, I don't know, man. I got into this pretty heavily with Kayla when it happened because I was annoyed about it. Like, oh, because something happened to you, those films are no longer valid or okay. And it's like, you watch movies about violent murder, like slasher films where people are brutalized, right? Like, if someone gets attacked by a serial killer or something, don't you think they're going to have a problem with slasher films existing? That maybe we shouldn't depict graphic violence for fun, right? Like, if you or like one of your loved ones was like brutally attacked, or one of your loved ones was murdered with a knife or something, you know, you're of course going to be a person that's like, I don't approve of these things. But I don't know. I want people to see their bias, right? That's it. It's like, oh, because this affects me personally, because this is something that happened to me, and this is a hot button topic for me, it's like, I don't like this. And she says in it, like, like, I don't have a problem with it existing. I'm more, I have a problem with your interpretation of it. But it's an instantaneous reaction to, like, this is what we're going to show. And she's like, those depict graphic rape scenes. And it's like, yeah? And? Says the girl who fucking owns and watches nothing but slasher movies. Like, I'm sorry, but people being brutally murdered is just as bad as someone being fucking raped. They're both heinous crimes.
Absolutely.
That, one, you actually sometimes survive. Obviously, being murdered, you can't fucking survive. You're dead. So, like, it's a horrible thing. And people that live on that, have family members or were attacked and had attempted murders on them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that kind of stuff. But I get it. She's biased because she was raped. Yeah. I 100% get it.
It makes sense. But it's just, I mean, not to spend too much time, I guess, on the topic, but it's like art is subjective no matter what. And so people's you can't control how people interpret certain things. Even if you feel like as a creator that you're being super straightforward and like to the point with what you're trying, like the message you're trying to spread, there's always the chance that somebody's gonna read or watch or whatever something that you've made and completely like misinterpret it. And so, not saying that these guys have like the wrong interpretations or she has the right interpretation, but it just does come down to it being a subjective experience. Yeah. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to approach like how you feel about a certain subject matter being portrayed in film. But when it comes to horror, it goes into dark places for a reason. So there's plenty of subjects that are explored in horror that are uncomfortable for many people, and that's kind of the cathartic purpose of the horror genre, is to let us look at these like dark parts of humanity in a safe way, So
sure, I mean, I could be a fucking...
But like you said, I also, I just completely understand why she feels the way she does. And I do respect her character, and I like her. I don't know, I think she's likable. And I like her even more because she's in Zombies, so...
I mean, I get it. And as I said, I totally get why she's upset, and it's totally valid. But I also want people to acknowledge that we depict heinous things all the time in film for entertainment.
Sure.
And if it hasn't happened to you, you seem to be fine with it, right? Like some war veteran who's went through massive amounts of fucking horrors in the war, seen his friends blown up and shot to death in front of him, and then you go and you sit back and you watch some film that's depicting war really graphically, or even like comedically, where they're like making it a joke.
Sure.
And you could just be like, what the fuck? There's nothing funny about this. I've been there. And it's like, you need to remove yourself from that in that situation, or just not watch them. I mean, if you're really that bent out of shape about it, like, I don't know. Those are those things to me. I'm just like, I get it when it applies to you, right? It's like the woman I used to work with who was like fine with South Park ripping on every religion but hers.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, oh man, they really own the Mormons in that one, and they made fun of that stupid Scientology, and the Muslims and all this, and I'm like, what about that episode where they made fun of Christ? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think that was fine. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's
because I'm right and they're wrong. Right. It's like, whoa, what? Let's be self-aware here.
Yeah, self-awareness is good.
Yes. Anyways, moving on from that was way too much. So Imogen names her fake baby, Clarice, for obvious reasons here, more horror nods. And we get the completely unexpected, completely out of nowhere, Imogen-Chip relationship.
So unexpected.
I don't know what's going to come of this.
I don't either. This is why, I don't know. I don't know why I feel suspicious of Chip and Wes, but I do.
You're a woman and you hate men.
No, not at all. But I don't know. I think it's because we had the whole thing with Chip and sort of how he handled Tabby's like film project and sort of just taking control over it, which we talked about, and you can see it both ways. But I don't know, I feel a little unsure about him, and we didn't expect Imogen and him to become a couple, but they do, and they're cute, they have chemistry, he seems very sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He also, like, there's a scene where she goes to an adoption agency to talk to the possibility of putting her child up for adoption, and he comes with her because they're partners in this class assignment where they have to carry around a baby for 2 days and keep it safe and everything. And he comes with her, and the woman kind of assumes that he's the father, so she asks him like what he thinks about everything, and he's like totally fine with whatever Imogen wants to do, like I have her back. And she's fine with it, like she thanks him for being supportive. But when I watched it, like I felt kind of weird. I was like, why would he, like he's not the dad. Like I don't know if I would like to have someone be like, yeah, I give permission, when I'm like, it's not your place to give permission. Like you're not the father and it doesn't need to have that. I don't know. Is that weird?
I've changed my mind.
Okay.
I am completely with you. Chip is the person. I definitely believe it. Just thinking about it while you're talking and thinking about how this narrative is going, he's a character that's lingered, right? Yes. He's been there, but he hasn't been at the forefront, right? He's been there though. He's filming for Imogen, her scene,
I know
and
who
all
he
that
is.
stuff.
What
right?
if he was?
So Angela was pregnant, right?
That's what I don't know if she was, but if she was,
or she got raped.
She got raped, and if she was pregnant, then Chip is totally her son. If he survived.
He's too old.
He's too old?
Or he's too young.
No, he wouldn't be. Angela's the same age as all of their parents.
Right.
Imogen.
No. You're way off on that.
What do you mean he's too?
He's too young. Like
Angela's parent. Angela.
Okay, so Angela's friends didn't have babies in high school.
Oh, sorry. You're right. I'm off. I'm like,
you're off on that. No.
Sorry.
I don't think he's Angela's son.
Yeah.
But I do think I think he is who raped both of them. I think that he is the father. Because that's it. That's why I was saying Imogen's suspect, because her baby's going to mean something. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't too off. I'm not saying we're right, but I'm saying we're right. So he is the guy who raped them both in retaliation, right? She gets pregnant. That's why he does act like the dad.
Yeah.
Because he is the dad.
Yeah.
Right? And now they're just slowly injecting him into the story now. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's in a relationship with Imogen. Like, out of fucking nowhere. And he's this very minor character. He's also a little horror fan. He's been stalking Tabby her whole life to keep an eye on everyone. Right? Like, he's been around. Yeah. He's been on the outside the whole time. And he's that character that, as I said, they kind of keep him in this focus, but he's on the outside. Mm-hmm. And now they're slowly moving him in towards the end of the show. He's suspicious. He's the good friend, right? Like Wes is the bastard who's like trying to take advantage of this girl while he's at the house and all this. And then Chip's on the outside like, oh, like everything's okay. I'm your best friend. No, you've convinced me. Dun, but I knew that the Imogen dad thing was gonna be something.
Yeah.
But this is it. Chip. I'm laying all my fucking chips on Chip. It's true. Like, yeah, as you said it, and you were explaining things, I started really thinking about the character.
Yeah.
And how they're gonna fucking play it out, and how you're gonna reveal it, because throughout the show, he's just going to be that background character. He's
background, but he's in questionable, like,
because if you remember,
moral things.
When they're filming the psycho scene, she talks about the rape. She talks about her drink being drugged, and he gives her a really weird look. I pointed that out when we talked about that episode, and it looks like a concerned friend, like, oh no, like she's telling people about that. Mm-hmm. But then we find out that Imogen is the first person she's ever told. So Chip didn't fucking know that.
Yeah.
But then he looks at her, and you could be like, oh, well, he's just being like, this is the first I'm hearing of this. I know how this goes. But that ain't the look that he gives. He gives this look of like, oh shit, she's remembering. Yeah. And Chip has that mark she's looking for. Yes. Right? We still have not circled back around on that. That is why I'm 100% convinced it's Chip now. Is when you were saying all that, I was like, we still have not revealed yet what Tabitha was looking for in the showers while she was violating everybody's fucking privacy, Miss Rape. Miss fucking like, oh, it just, it depicts rape, so this and that. Miss High Horse, who's fucking filming naked people against their consent. Sure, right?
Like, only one of them is guilty of hurting her.
Horrible thing to do. Yeah. But she's looking for a specific mark, and Chip has it.
Which is interesting, because he offered to do the shower scene, but he was like, but I'm going to be wearing boxers or whatever.
Sure, because she's looking for something on his dick. Right?
Or on his legs. Like his thighs.
It's on his dick. It's this big. He's like, hi, Imogen. It's like, can I shake your baby's hand?
Inside the world.
Yeah. No, that's it.
It's Chip.
Kaylee broke the case.
Use my brain.
Yeah, I know. Chip. That's it. We're done. We're ending the video here because we already guessed the killer. 3 episodes early. We did it. I'm with you. I'm with you. Unless he's gonna die in the next episode. Like his head's gonna get cut off.
First 2 seconds of the episode.
We gotta delete that video. Delete it. No one's watched it yet. No, people will have watched it by then.
What do you think? Yeah. Who's the killer?
It's Chip. No, he's not the killer, but he's in cahoots.
Who's in cahoots?
Because Chip don't have the bill to pay.
Obviously, yeah. What do you think? Who's in cahoots, and who do you think we've seen the killer? Or do you think we haven't seen the killer?
Who's Chip's dip? Bye. Bye. Dipshit, maybe.
Dipshit.